The summer just flew by us, didn't it? But then again, here we are, over 80 degrees.
Yeah, I
Oh.
would say the older I get, the faster I think time goes.
How does the air conditioner hold up downstairs? Because I know that the library floor was having problems.
The air conditioning downstairs is, we had some maintenance work done on it.
Mm-hmm.
It's between 10 and 12 years old.
That shouldn't be too bad.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, the library, they've been working through the issues with the library.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing with this part of the building too. I think there's a lot that goes on with these little buildings.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But too, I mean, there's some days when it's
Hey, folks.
it's
How's it
90 some
going?
degrees.
Yeah, I recognize the sound.
It should change.
Testing, testing, 1, 2. Testing, testing, 1, 2.
How are you?
Hey, how's it going?
How are you?
Uh-huh.
Summer's back.
Yes.
Gorgeous, isn't it?
Almost wore my shorts.
Yeah.
I'm good. I like to see you outside. Okay.
Smoke from the Canadian fires, they hit here, didn't they?
Yeah.
What is
Yes, boy.
Yeah, after all that time, I'm sure I've done it. You know. My goodness. Oh my What? Last time, what time? She's on point. She was driving Nelson's. And then before she let it bring on the time, she did. That day until last year.
Are you here representing Black?
Hi, how's it going?
Hi,
Chrissy.
Just for the first 30 minutes. And then,
What's that?
it's almost.
Jean, I saw your email. I will send it back to you tomorrow.
Okay, well, you get it, I know.
But I don't see it ignoring you.
Yeah,
And I'll get your response tomorrow.
Okay, thanks. You're welcome.
They did 30 miles on Saturday. We started at West Newton. They were in Hollister.
Ooh.
And then we came back. It went like 20 miles. Everybody got to we need to stretch sort of out. Then we discovered we were like 5 all of those things are. Thank God we did. We hit like 35.
Well, we were on the bus.
Yeah.
Sunday night.
How long does that take? I mean, I'm sure you guys are flipping, but.
Getting on that good solid.
I have to figure out if I can fit that in my schedule. Like, how do I fit that in my schedule?
Yeah.
I don't like Fridays.
We'll make a. Our consistent source of income. The side, we're able to get the permit. To display cases. We got our website up and going.
By the way, you could tell me how Mary Rachel
How do you do,
and
Terry?
Charles on the historical committee and you.
Yes, oh, no, we can have a couple. Yeah. The Historical Society, Environmental Action Committee. Keep my hand in the till, not in the till, but keep active, now I'm retired.
It's environmental.
The Environmental Action Committee, basically, it's an outgrowth of the committee that we have overall.
When we started out, we started with house. You go down, went over to the water. Back in.
Yeah, guys.
We did, I tell you.
So you, nobody got nobody. Yeah.
I never looked at two every morning. And he turned back. Yeah.
Life changing.
No.
Oh, I don't see her.
No. I didn't know if you got like maybe. Yeah.
Your vacation was nice?
Yeah.
He was there.
No. Good evening. Good evening. I said more.
Yeah, the weather changing. It's changing back. That's a lot. I'm definitely like her. Yeah, I screamed it out. That's nice.
We've been to a few.
Please rise for pledge.
States of America, to the republic, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Residents, please make sure you sign in now. Just your chance to speak is the beginning of the meeting. You have 3 minutes to present your comments. All meetings will be recorded both auditorily and visually. Roll call, please, Ms. Woods.
Ms. Book,
Here.
Mrs. McHugh,
Here.
Mr. Lark,
I'm here.
Mr. McCowen.
Here.
Mr. Nagy,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Soborowski,
Here.
Mr. Heath.
Here.
Mayor Noah.
Here.
Mr. Thurman.
Here.
Mr. Rushmeyer.
Here.
All are present. Everyone that wants to speak, sign in.
Well, not nobody else, I can't vouch for her.
The first person on the list is Brian Rapola.
Hi, everybody. Brian Rampola, 222 Southview Drive. Right across the street from Snyder Park, which is the topic of my comments. We've lived there since 1984. We've seen what a wonderful park that is. It meets all the criteria of a neighborhood park. It gets lots of neighborhood use, including, I might add, a lot of little kids running and falling on the cool, soft grass. It does get some sports leagues and traffic can be a little bit tight sometimes, but all in all, we consider it a wonderful neighborhood park. Our assessment is the 4 plans for Snyder we've seen recently are totally going to change that because it's pretty clear they're set up to attract various sports leagues. And all that's going to do is overuse the park. It's going to cause even more traffic, especially concerning 3 of them talk about installing an artificial surface. Most of the summer, it's going to be totally unusable. Those things get incredibly hot. Little kids now, when they fall, they're going to scuff their knees. They could possibly get burned. Parents who bring their kids to the playground are going to have to police their kids to keep them off the park. It doesn't make sense to us. And so, certainly some improvements are needed. For example, make the restrooms accessible all the time, maybe improve the playground. But we're hoping that people will recognize it's a wonderful park. Don't change it. One other topic, the telephone pole right outside our house at 222 is in terrible shape. It's falling, it's breaking. It was braced by Verizon a while ago. That brace has broken off. It's bending more. My wife Debbie called Verizon 2 weeks ago and they said, we'll be out today to look at it. We've stopped Verizon personnel on site and said, take a look at this pole. Please get that fixed. We can't do anything else. I'm hoping that the borough can get involved and try to make something happen, because that pole is gonna break, and when it does, who knows what's gonna happen. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for your comment. Take the vote into consideration. Debbie?
Okay. Hi, I'm Debbie Rampol. I also live at 222 Southview, and I just want to talk about the park as well. There actually are some issues with the park right now. One of them being traffic safety. If any of you have driven by during the rec program, the summer rec program, oftentimes the street gets really congested. And that happens, like the more big events that happen there, the more the street gets crowded. And that is a major connector route for emergency vehicles. And my concern is that sometimes you just can't get through. I actually this summer tried to get into my driveway, and as I was coming around the corner of Southview and Wheaton, a woman, because it was so crowded and you couldn't get through, a woman had parked her car, shut it off, went to the park to pick up her kid. And I'm looking at her, and she's walking back down and getting in her car, and I'm like, you don't park in intersections. And she like, well, you know what she did. Anyway, she made a U-turn when she got in her car and left, but people, you couldn't get through. My concern is if we do have sports leagues at that park right now, we have enough of an issue. And years ago, when this is really years ago, when Chief Schmidt was here, I asked to have, when my kids were little, I asked to have speed bumps put in because there's a lot of speeding on Southview. And I was told that speed bumps have to meet a very strict criteria that because that's an emergency route, and because that's the only connector between the borough complex where the police are and the southern end of Whitehall, that's the only part you can get through on Southview, that we couldn't put them there, the state wouldn't allow it, and that would impede traffic. I don't understand how the traffic isn't being impeded now because I can't even get my driveway half of the time when there are big events. I think it's fine when there are small sporting events, but I really don't feel like that park was designed for, or, to have a really large group of people there. Thank you. There's other things. I hope that it gets really hot in the park. I watched the rec program kids this summer. Most of them stayed under the trees because it was so hot. And as Brian said, it's going to get hotter if you have an artificial surface there. That surface will need to be cleaned. There are dogs that are in the park. We have a big problem with, and the chief knows, we have a problem with dogs. People taking their dogs into the park. I love dogs, but they do their thing there. And if they do it on artificial turf, it's going to need to be cleaned. And, we have deer that do their thing too. And it would just need to be cleaned. And it's not a sanitary thing. I understand it will really smell if that happens. I have a document that I'm going to send to you all because I have this very detailed. There are all kinds of things that need to be addressed. Before you make a vote for changing that park, I ask that you read the document, please, and really consider it. I implore you to do that. Thank you for listening. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your comments. We need to hear from everybody. I guess so. As some of you know, at the last meeting, we let the bid for Overlook Park for half of it, part of it. Snyder, I'd love to have it done next year, but where we're going to come up with the funds is going to have to be first. And we're going to have a couple years to work on this and make our decision. It's not going to be made, unfortunately. I can't see it being made in the next year because we have to finish Overlook. We have to finish what you start first.
And there's no more COVID.
True.
Courtney, with regard to the telephone pole rise, if you don't get any response, will you let me know and I will somehow I will find a way to get a response.
Okay, Jerry,
Rachel. Hi, I'm Jerry Rachel. I live at 224 Southview. Lucky one that gets to live right next door to the park. Nothing wrong with the park. I enjoy it. My kids were playing there for years. It's a great neighborhood venue. But again, just like Brian and Deb had mentioned, the traffic, the congestion, the noise level, it does get to be exceedingly loud and obnoxious. The people who come there don't live there. They're there for the hour or two a week that their kids have to play on the field. And it's not that anybody wants to take away from the kids. We don't. We want them to be able to enjoy things. But in the same respect, we're there 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. And the things that I have to endure just living next door to the park, I guarantee you, if any of you sitting right there in your chairs now had to deal with it, it would be first thing on the agenda, taken care of immediately. Every year I go through, and I brought this up the last time I was here, fencing in along that hillside there, right above the field that leads down, the park that leads down in my yard. Every year I pick up 3 40-gallon bags of trash that are blown down into my yard, being thrown into my yard. I have confronted, I don't know how many people for driving right through my yard to get to the park because there's no parking on the street. So they want to park underneath the shade trees. So they decide to pull right through my driveway, right across the yard and underneath those shade trees. How many of you sitting here right now would tolerate that? I guarantee you nobody would. Okay, it's not something that, I should have to deal with on a daily basis. I'm not part of the borough cleanup program to take care of maintaining my yard because of events that are going on in the place. When I was here last year, I was told that it wasn't in the budget, but it would be put in and taken care of this year. So far, nothing. Okay, but
Well, I remember standing with you next to your yard and a bunch of others,
Mhm.
and we talked about that. For some reason, strange things pop up into your brain. It came up, but knowing all of the excitement over there, which is a great achievement that we could have it used. I had and was under the understanding that you had been fixed that day. I thought we talked about that.
We did.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We did, but the road crew didn't do what I think they were gonna do. And, or every Saturday activity, they would put one of those orange fences up, keep the stuff from coming into your yard.
I had made several calls back and was told that it wasn't in the budget and it would be looked at for the following years.
Well, one thing I hate to hear all the time is that this is,
So do I.
most certainly there's money there to do things like that. That kind of ridiculous comments, and when I leave, I want to respond to people. I'm not finished yet. I'm looking over here at our manager and asking her to make sure that whatever you think about, however you want to make it work, it's a fence, it's not that much money. Figure out how it's going to work and put the road crew together or a fence company. That's what we talked about years ago. And I think it not being done is irritating me. It's just making me upset that they have to have the same problem. You get a problem here, you've got one problem, you solve that problem. So, no, I'm not picking on you. I think you're very great, but I think that has to follow through. So I know that we need to have it done and we have to have it done now. We're not gonna wait for it in the budget. We can handle a lot of the stuff in the budget, small things like that. So I think we have to look at doing it. And I would like to see it done because that's a gold mine. Children of the borough.
Wendy, how often does the road crew empty the trash? It's
All the work daily.
daily.
Yes.
So is there any way we could just simply direct the road, instead of even buying a fence, we probably don't need to buy a fence. Would you mind if our road crew just came down and collected? I mean, the problem with garbage, correct?
Well, yes, that would be ideal, but the people who come down to cut the grass, this year, they just decided to weed whack all the trash on the hillside, including the grass, and blew all that down into my yard. So it's not the issue of emptying the trash. It's
No,
the,
I mean, can we send them?
yes, I have no problem, no problem doing that.
Gather the trash?
Mhm.
Before you suggest that, let's check out the legalities of public employees working on private property. I think something in my mind says there's a problem there. Would have to be because once we started my property or your property, we have to do it on mine. Let us
No,
think about that.
that's fine.
Part of what we talked about. We talked about
Yes, we
erecting
did.
a fence on the borough property So it's high enough and it stops all that paper.
But it wasn't as simple as putting up an orange work fence or a.
Well, the man
And
said,
it got to be a little more complicated issue because it had to be an installed fence, and that's why it had to come up in the budget. We needed to extend the fencing that was there, not just put in a temporary.
Was it the cost? Remember, is that the reason? Because he's been out before.
Yes, we received a quote last year. I don't recall the amount, but it was something that council declined at the time to do and put the line item over budget. I could certainly get a new quote to bring that to council if you'd like. For
oh, I
consideration.
think we should, so let's get a quote on
Let
it.
me make some calls.
We could also explore the option of just simply sending our public works
Yeah.
down whenever they're emptying the garbage cans, just to, if it's allowed, then you save the borough fence. The issue is the garbage, not the fence. So
Right.
we could just collect the garbage up, and it's, that would be sufficient.
We would have permission, so for some reason we know that the garbage came from here, then, I don't know what the solicitor said, there's a legal problem, but since we have permission of the property owner, and, I think we can use common sense. If they go into the park and they see, garbage and they knew there was a party, the night before, why not, pick up a few things and so that may be, at least some partial solution till we get the facts.
Okay, we'll move on then. Thank you for your.
Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
We'll move on to Hal Booth.
Hal or Harold Pusa, 4647 Dover Drive. I'm a member of the Whitehall Historical Society, and I'd just like to announce that on the 12th of October, which is a Thursday at 7 p.m. in the evening, we're going to have a guest speaker, Andy Masich. He's the president and CEO of the Heinz History Center. And likewise, we're going to be presenting for the first time the Whitehall, the Baldwin High School, but a student from Whitehall who's the student of the year based on his interest in history overall. So he's going to be honored at that time and have a little presentation and a gift for him. And we're going to put his name on a plaque that we're in the process of getting right now. I'd like to thank the support of 4 members of the Borough Council, as well as the mayor, who's been a very active participant overall. And I'd like to welcome anyone to come to the meeting coming up on the 12th of October. From what I heard, from what I understand, Andy Masich is a very dynamic speaker. And I believe the topic of his presentation is going to be innovation.
Where will we be at? Where?
It'll be in a community room right upstairs. It'll be 7 p.m. on Thursday, the 12th of October.
Now, he is on KDKA every morning, 6:20, and does a little background of something historical. It's very really well spoken and educated.
And just for what it's worth, if you're a member of the Whitehall Historical Society, by being a member, you get free admission to the Heinz History Center and any of its other facilities, such as Point Park and Meadowcroft over in Washington County. So there are some additional benefits above and beyond for your dues overall. And on a totally different subject, could there be any consideration for putting in a stop sign on Curry Road at the intersection with Delma? There's a high stand of hedges. They're probably about 4 or 5 feet high. And if you're coming down Delma, it's very difficult to see who's coming down Curry Road overall.
Towards the trestle,
Pardon?
going towards the trestle.
Going towards the trestle, that is correct.
We can look into it. We have to do a traffic study. It depends on the volume of the traffic and also accidents.
Yeah. I don't know of any accidents offhand, but particularly now with the school year and parents driving their students to Whitehall Elementary and also to Harrison School, between that and the buses, there is quite a bit of traffic at least twice a day. But any time of the day overall, if you're coming down Delma, and especially if you're trying to make a left turn onto Curry, it's not easy. You have very limited visibility unless you're in a huge truck or something like that. But if you're in a car or a smaller SUV, you're basically blind to anybody coming down.
I'll have the traffic officer take a ride through. Simple might be to see if we can get the shrubbery
Maybe, yeah.
I'll have Mark look at that tomorrow.
Mark,
I'll have Mark go out and look at that tomorrow.
okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Let me,
He's right. I go that way every day, pick up and that shrubbery is just too high.
let me follow up with Hal's first topic. First of all, if you come, you don't have to be a member. So if you haven't signed up to be a member of the Whitehall Borough Historical Society, you can still come without actually being a member. But this speaker, and to follow up Bill as well, I had him come to the Pennsylvania State Mayors Association. I've been doing the programs for like 27 years. And so I've had a lot of speakers, over long periods of time. And when he spoke in Pittsburgh, when we were at the Sheridan, and 3 mayors independently came up to me and said, that was the best speaker you ever had. So he is really good. In this particular, he's going to do the same thing that he did that night, which is to talk about, it's almost like a history of Pittsburgh, going all the way back to, what is it, Meadow, anybody know, Meadowbrook, Meadowfield? Meadowcroft, that's it, thank you. I knew Glenn would come up with it. Meadowcroft, which is I believe it's the oldest prehistoric site in North America. Is that right,
Yes,
Glenn? Where
that is correct.
the oldest prehistoric site in North America. It's in Washington County near Avella.
It was built right before Phil was born.
I think I'm gonna move on. Judy, I'm gonna put you on the spot. Judy Clover is next one.
Judy Clover, 1043 Duncan Lane. I would just request, this borough does an excellent job for children, I believe, and they have been doing a really good job for older people, I shouldn't say elderly. However, would you please keep in mind that the biggest growing sport is pickleball. That can be played by all ages. And give us a chance to have it somewhere in the borough, at least 2 courts. They painted lines down on the basketball courts. The surface is not good. It's a little frightening. Then you have to go get the net and assemble it. So for probably 8 years, I've been told they were going to put money into the tennis courts. They were getting grant money. So we've tried to be patient. The lights, they used to be considered wonderful as far as tennis players. Now you can't see in the dark on courts 3 and 4 or 1 and 2. One thing to consider too, and if tennis players would love it, but if you put the money into those 4 courts and at least put pickleball lines on 2 of them, tennis players may not love it, pickleball players may not love it, but it gives us a chance. So something to keep in mind and investigate. This borough does a great job for children, but they need to do something for the elderly as well.
Since you
The
play
older
both tennis and pickleball,
Pardon?
since you play both tennis and
Yes.
pickleball, I think your information is.
Yes. And I know it's a concern as far as the noise. But pickleball's loud and that can be a problem, but some people don't like the sound of kids playing on playgrounds and screaming and hollering in ball games. So it works both ways, but don't forget us, please.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Well, that was the last resident who had signed in.
No.
There's 2 pages.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, the second page is blank and I did the third page. I'm all guilty, but I am. Sue Lyons.
I'm going to defer to Jeff to let Jeff go first, if that's okay.
Hello, Jeff Wisniewski, 4863 Mortgage Drive. Some of you know me, some of you don't. Some new faces, quite a lot. You got through COVID. So I've been here some time and I really don't want to be here. But since July, things on Mortgage Drive have been picking up, picking up, and picking up. Jason has indicated over the last year when he visited my house in August of 2022, when there's noise, call. Steve McGreevy and I have been calling, and the response times have been atrocious. July 23rd, I made a call and waited, and I then pinged my neighbor, Brian Pearson, one of the fire department volunteers, and he came down to check out the situation. He called in, made a stink, and we got some reaction. And that was about 20 minutes. And then last month, Steve made a call in, and it was for noise in the middle of the night. The officers came out, 2 of them. Never got out of their car, didn't even check the situation. Told Steve the lights were never on at the house, but the camera showed the lights were on and off. There was a party going on. They were making noise. They had enough reason to knock on the door at least. They did not do so. This past Monday, I called in yet again. Another 15, 20-minute response time had gone by. I pinged Steve going, you guys are not coming. Steve called in, started tuning out dispatch. Finally got a response after about 20 minutes or so. We're not pleased with this response time. Because those who are on the board remember, we got those short-term rental rules in place because of a 17-year-old with a semi-automatic, 40 rounds in his gun. Yeah, we are concerned. Why am I here? Why is this still going on? It's 10 years. Why? Now, Sue Ellen has even more disturbing news, but she's been picking up in her yard.
I'd like to know why 10 years too. I remember it first happened, and it became a radical problem with people coming out of that house nude at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Sex on the front porch? Yeah, we had people pass down the front porch. Look at this Monday. The guy was passed out in the back of the car.
It's disgusting. I dealt with all you people then, and Steve, and this should not have happened.
I don't want to be here.
Man, you want to go ahead? Yeah, so we can get all.
I'm Sue Ellen Lyons. I live at 4855 Moore Ridge, 2 doors down. I live catty corner to the, for better terms, the house with all the problems. I'm very nervous because I found some stamp bags at the curb on my grass. And I have a dog. I don't have little kids, but I have a dog. And she will eat anything. So every day before I go out on my walk, I walk in front of my property. I sweep in front of my property. You can ask the borough guys, maintenance guys, because I never know what I'm going to find. I did find one syringe. I picked it up and I threw it away. I picked up the stamp bag and I picked up dog poop and I threw it away. I look every day because I have all these little kids that drive these little cycles and these little big wheels, and they're on the ground. They're playing in my yard. I don't mind that, but I'm deathly afraid that they're going to get a lick of fentanyl or cocaine, whatever it is in that little bag, that it is in my neighborhood. I've been there 3 years, and this house is an issue. My bedroom is in the back of my house, and I heard the music with Anderson windows, closed up all the way in the back of the property, and I still heard the noise. So it has to be really loud for me to hear it. In the July incident, there was a woman walking down the street in a string bikini and a thong. When I first saw her, I thought she was naked. And she was walking up and down the street. And they were having some kind of party and having a grand old time. And there must have been, 25 cars?
Easily.
Parked all over in the cul-de-sac. So if I get worried with the construction vehicles and an ambulance getting down my street. But it blocks up they throw whatever they have in their hands on the ground. There's cups, there's cans sometimes. What else? They speed down the street. Oh, yeah. Thank you. But the other thing is that the gentleman who lives there goes 0, I guess he stops at the stop sign, but he's going about 40 miles per hour when he hits my house. And I'm right across from Steve, and then there's open field, and he makes a sharp turn. And if there's one day I was taking my trash out, and I stepped out in the yard to look back at the lights we just put up, and he brushed the back of me. Because he's that quick. So I don't know what you can do. I don't know how you can do it, but it's not just Steve complaining. It's not just Jeff complaining. I have 3 of us in our house that are very upset. Because if something happens to my dog, I'm gonna go. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but something has to be done. I don't know how you can do it. I get he has a right to be there, but so do I, and so do the little kids. How is anybody gonna feel if one of those little kids picks up a thing and licks it? And they put everything in their mouths. And they're right down here on their little trikes. So please, can we do something?
We continue to be proactive with the house on the week. It doesn't happen every day of the week. It happens sporadically on the weekend where the person that lives there has guests over. And yes, they're coming over for the party. We continue to monitor the internet. We put the address into the internet and see if it's popping up if the house is being available for rental, Airbnb, a few other sites where people can advertise their properties. That has the actual rentals that were going on there ceased after the borough come up and created an ordinance banning that type of use of residential property.
Well, thank you for that, but they're still there.
We have made several arrests connected to the house. Most of them have been on the street. That occurred several years ago. We continue to monitor the speed of traffic because of complaints about the residents that live there. We periodically have police vehicles on the street at different hours of night to watch to see if we have large groups of people coming. The incident that was just talked about on Monday, it was not, we don't delay our response because of one particular incident or one street. What happened Monday is the officers were tied up on a severe emergency on the other side of the community. Started at 5 o'clock in the morning. They were there to 9 o'clock. The first call to come in was received, was put out to shift supervisor. I left that scene, came into the station around 8 o'clock in the morning. We were actually getting ready to go out on patrol because I knew they were going to tie up and visit. We got a second call about mortgage, and yes, the dispatcher was being delayed. I responded and went to the mortgage. Spoke to the individual that had fell asleep in the car, identified. Talked to a couple other people that were inside the house. There was no loud music playing. There was no disorderly conduct. Issued a parking tag for the vehicle being parked on the street, have them move it into the driveway. And we told them they needed to stay inside the house for their freedom at any point. The other 2 incidents that were referenced, another one, we were also tied up on other calls, but we did respond. The incident in July, I believe it was July, where it was indicated the officers didn't get out of the vehicle. They stayed in the cul-de-sac for 5 to 10 minutes. Did not hear any noise. Did not give us a justification for knocking the door. In talking to the resident to call, he explained to me, because he was upset. He actually sent an email. He called the next day. He was upset with our response. He explained to me a minute or two before the officers arrived, the music was kind of. The officers did they stayed in the street for 5 to 10 minutes. They would have bought more cameras. We had in-car cameras. I watched all that stuff. So it's not a lack of effort on our part. It's not that we lack empathy, that we're not concerned about what's going on the street. When things happen sporadically, we have to be there at the right time.
I get that.
And there's not everybody on the street calls. Okay? I don't understand why. This is the first that I learned about cell phones being in front of your house. When I was up on the street Monday morning for an hour, I talked to several people about what was going on. I don't know if you called the police department to report that.
You need to do that. You need to do that. And because if the
I
solicitor,
just was
we ever got
angry.
to the point where it became a nuisance and the solicitor, had to represent us to abate a nuisance, we would need this information over time. We can't, all at once. So anytime you see any activity that smacks of a, criminal act, you should call the police and say, I was out in my yard today. This is what I found. Plus, they can and investigate it. They know, who was there last, what I mean? Now, where would we go, to look for whoever threw those bags on your lawn? We have no context in which to be able to do that. So you gotta call in.
The police department is just as frustrated.
I'm sure you
as
are.
any other resident.
I'm sure you are. I'm not
You know,
bashing you. I'm not trying to talk over you either. I'm not bashing you.
okay
It's
if you're
just-
upset. Believe me, I talked to a lot of people up there. I've spent time up there. I've been inside Jeff's house. I've been inside Mr. McGreevy's house. I've invited them into my office. They share information. We do everything we can to check for illegal activity. We're not seeing it right now. If we get on the street and we hear a noise complaint, we actually hear the noise coming from the house.
But do you announce that you're going to Moorridge on your scanner? Because I think he has a scanner. I think he's listening. Do you announce when you're going to Moorridge that you're going to Moorridge?
The dispatcher will put over the radio.
Right.
The address or the location. That's the only way that the officers.
So that's probably why the music is turned off.
That's a possibility.
Because he's done like a fox. He really is.
We also have dispatch procedures.
I get your side. There's nobody in this building. People will attest. I am very pro-police. My father was the greatest man that walked this earth, and he thought the police in Whitehall, the sun rose and set on you. But I just, well, my father's no longer here. He's no longer on this plane. He's up there. But my contention is that he is smarter than we are. And I don't know. I mean, I've been very quiet. I've called a couple of times about the car. Time I almost got hit, I called. About the racing, I called again. It's a beautiful street. I've lived on several streets in Whitehall. I think it's the prettiest street in Whitehall. No offense to anyone else, but this is a big, there's delivery people that say to me, that must be a drug house, isn't it? The UPS man, the FedEx man, Amazon people. There's weeds growing all in the front. He now has the lawnmower that cuts the grass a little, but the house looks like a dump.
This week, I talked to code enforcement about a couple of things that I noticed while I was up there. Like I said, it's not a lack of effort. We're not turning a blind eye. We're not tired of the residents in Woodbridge calling.
Wow.
What we're concerned about is if we make a false step, and we take an enforcement action, and for whatever reason, we're dealing with a procedural violation or not before the magistrate, we just embolden it. We have to abide by the Constitution and police.
I understand that.
I talked to the resident and he didn't understand why he didn't break down the door and go inside the house and drag everybody out by their hair Monday morning.
Well, he's a little frustrated. He's a little frustrated. You have to think about, he's elderly, more elder. He's older than I am, but that's, but my thing on this is that it just makes me extremely nervous with the garbage, like you talked about the garbage, the garbage that these cars generate. It's in his field. There's that empty lot. I've walked and found cups, beer cans. I walk early and sometimes I walk late at night, but I won't go down there late at night. I'll go up the street and back down. It's just, if there's, and I'm not saying you just know that they're up to no good. And that's just my own personal opinion. And I look at these people and I think, there's like 6 or 8 of them that pile out of a car. And if I have a house full, if I have a party, I get that everybody's entitled to have company. That's not the problem. The problem is that he pushes all the neighbors to our ends of our roads. And we're frustrated because as we see it is that his rights seem more important than our rights. And that's kind of how we feel. And I'm not saying you're doing a bad job. I'm not saying you're not coming. I know that it seemed late. And I get, if you have an emergency on the other side of town, I get it. I just think there has to be something we can do to get those drugs off of Moorridge. it just,
If I may interrupt. The last time this happened, first time it happened, you were a sergeant, I think.
And I made one of the arrests.
That's right.
thank you. But I've only lived there 3 years, so I'm a
So,
newbie.
no, that is a beautiful street. But this guy has some maneuvering and some abilities to be able to continue this for some bad time. So what has to happen is we collectively ask the solicitor to go and find out what we can do. Now, again, we're gonna ask the solicitor what to do. All right. That we have to go back into court or find what law he's fracturing and constantly fracturing. You're right, you can't do things unless you see the law broken. It's just a frustration of what happens. And we seem to come to no end. And whatever really upsets me is after we're fighting these problems and we never get to an end with some people, especially this guy who has very, very questionable background.
He's
And
skillful.
I think we ought to go to the, is he still in the bed and breakfast?
No, I believe he's back in his house. What did you say, Jeff?
No, he has,
Oh,
does he run it as a bed and breakfast?
If he's renting, he's not posting it online. He'll be using offline methods to make it
Well,
work.
I think that we better start there with the attorney. If he's an Airbnb,
He's not.
he's not.
He's not. He's not online. Either it's word of mouth or he's taking it offline because he knows if he posts it online,
you'll get him.
Jason will see it.
Yeah, right.
Well, then he might.
So he's not,
he's
so
gotta be
as soon as
breaking
comment,
our law.
he's smart. And you gotta figure out how to outsmart. So if you say you're going to Morgan, you say you're going to another street. Because he knows, it's like, he knew to turn the sound down. It was like, you're not with a mechanic.
If the problem is on Morgan, because, you know, if they're in the middle of something, like right now, you know, the fire department's going something. We're going with, well, we get a noise complaint for your street. You can't tell them to go to Carlin. They're gonna have code work. Well, we have to dispatch the location so they know where to go.
Well,
But maybe we can figure, I have some ideas too, I'd like to talk to you about. You know, about how we might, how we might get smarter than the, the people that are in our neighborhood. So, let's just say this, this is the first time we're hearing about it, okay? We heard about it before, and we did something about it, we changed our ordinance.
And now
We're
he's
hearing
changed up-
about it now.
he changed up this
And
game.
so we're going to, you presented a great case. So let us see what we can do and keep in touch. This is your place to come. If things aren't working out, you want to share some ideas. But let's, we'll, Chief and I will talk and see what else we might be able to do to up our.
I gotta tell you, I think, speak for all council, we thought this problem was pretty much solved. This is the first we've heard about it for a long time. It's in the bill. Did I miss a couple meetings? And I didn't. We haven't heard
I've been
anything
patient.
about this for a long time.
I've been patient. I've been emailing chief. I've been patient. I said,
Okay.
that's it.
Well,
It's Monday. I was done.
it's
That's
not,
what I'm here
and
Wednesday.
it's not a big deal to come from Mortgage to these meetings.
no, sir,
No.
it's not, but
So.
the,
And call in those
I want
things
to
that you're
put a
finding on-
certain level of trust that he's doing his job. I'm done.
I understand.
don't be done, because I still have to live there.
But
Uh,
we're the body that needs to hear from you.
Yeah, it's just,
And we just weren't aware. I apologize on our behalf.
when we were moving in 3 years ago, we were stripping wallpaper and tons of it, but I was up late at night in my window and I would watch the traffic go back and forth. When I lived on Wilburg, I watched the drug deals go on in the park down below. I called, I reported, and then all of a sudden the potty was gone and the drug man wasn't dropping his stuff anymore, and I was grateful. But this guy, it's 3 years. People drive down, somebody comes out, he goes out. Somebody drives down, goes out, comes out. I don't have anybody that drives down and waits outside for me and hand them something and go
Don't worry
back
about
down the
it.
street.
There's a whole underground network.
Oh, I'm sure of it.
It's in touch with people.
Yeah.
That never hits the airwaves, never hits the internet. Everything's done now right here.
I know.
And I'm sure that's what's being done. And, you have to keep stepping up the game to try and keep up with it. We don't want that. Nobody wants it. We don't want the Whitehall to get the reputation of having people like that in our municipality. So, yeah, we need to communicate better and, get things done. I mean, it's difficult, but we have to keep on.
I hope between the solicitor and the chief and the mayor, this ends again. And permanently. There's gotta be some action, excuse me, there's gotta be some action that our code enforcement officers could take too. So we need to watch that. If we got everybody here doing that, then pretty soon we're gonna find something out, right then?
But I think this goes well beyond what the code enforcement officer is capable of doing. He can cite them for littering.
Well, yes, I'm saying,
Things
keep,
like that,
keep
but
on.
That's not gonna deter
This
him.
is way beyond that.
Yeah, he's,
This involves some, at some level. I don't know if it's a level beyond and above ours, but it's certainly something that involves police action. I mean, this stuff just can't go on.
We have to get a couple steps ahead of him, like you said.
yeah, and that's, and
know
I
that-
appreciate your time, and I don't want to be the woman who calls and complains all the time over there in Moorridge, because I used to be the lady on Wilbur that would call.
We need to know.
Don't think that way. Nobody should think that way. That's what that dispatch center is for.
That's right.
I have fought hard to keep that dispatch center for that very reason. So that any resident, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, can pick up the phone and get, the police department. And so if you don't use it, somebody might think we don't need it. So use it.
Yes, sir, I will do a much better job, and I won't touch things I'll call.
Do you hear me? Don't pick that stuff up by your hand.
Oh, I didn't. Trust me, I didn't. I'm a nurse by trade.
No.
I had gloves on and put it picked up the poop because
You
it,
just keep it and then you give it to them and they can,
but that's chain of evidence is it's mine. I could have just planted it. I mean, that's not going to do any good, is it?
I think that's like the substance of false.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You were
I'm-
also listening, yeah, but if they covered.
I'm good. We took enough of your time. I'm sorry, but thank you, everyone.
Okay, Eric?
Sure, Eric, 2301 Southview. I'm not going to talk about Snyder Field, even though that's because of Snyder that found my house and youth sports. I have two questions you can answer when I'm done speaking. First, the lights at the pool, they go beyond all winter, all the time. I like looking at the stars. It's bad enough with the light pollution as it was. I can't see anything now. And the electrician also mentioned that the pool, like when he was putting them in, he was worried about the lights in the pool overheating when they weren't underwater. So, and I believe they're still on also. And the second question is, now I had to break up some leads. We haven't given any, I know that's probably good, but we given any more thoughts to doing a service like Mount Lebanon does, where they correct. I mean, I know we already pay for, waste management.
Every budget meeting, they get hired me. It's like,
I mean, I'll bag them, but it's just like, it'd be nice just to go the street rather than, and that's it. Oh, and ring cameras, and put signs out saying they're cameras.
We do. We
Do we
yeah,
have signs out to say they're cameras?
yeah, I have a security system.
Well, okay, but that would be cameras.
Okay.
Just that makes them comfortable for it.
Well, I've lit my house up like a Christmas tree. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I don't know the answers to your questions, but we'll find out.
Yeah.
Jane?
I know, it's been a long night so far. I'll try to make it short, as short as I can, so it's all written out. Jane Cassiato, 5348 High Grove Road. I want to bring up the Whitehall Borough Deer Management Program. I know that there are at least two candidates who think Whitehall is wasting taxpayer money to lessen the deer population in Borough. By name, that is Beth Iker and John Paravati. They would rather us save the $10,000 and let nature take its course, but I believe otherwise. Deer cause property damage. They are a danger when they cross larger arteries like Baptist, Brownsville, and Route 51 at night, and they are a health risk, spreading Lyme disease through deer ticks. In the past, cold winters would naturally lessen the deer population, but with the ever warmer winters, we cannot expect nature to fix this growing problem. And the deer are hungry. Every day, a deer eats about 6 to 8% of its body weight in green foliage just to stay healthy. For a 150-pound deer, that's up to 12 pounds of food a day. And if their environment is our neighborhoods, they will find food in our gardens, our lawns, and our shrubbery. It is imperative that the borough act to protect our property and our health. And for all the fear mongers that talk about the archers in the borough, I just want to let people know that there's a greater risk of injury from golfing, both in severity and frequency, and there's an 18-hole golf course in Whitehall. This is the difference between these candidates and the majority of Whitehall Council today. These candidates know that they will garner some votes by claiming they are friendly to wildlife, but they are only catering to a special interest. They don't want to serve Whitehall, they want to rule Whitehall. Council has acted in the best interest of every Whitehall citizen, property and property owner. When they took on the task of managing the deer population, it benefits everybody, even for those who disagree with the plan. That is what I call service to the borough. Will you pay for my hospital bills, for my extensive medicine prescriptions if I'm injured or infected by a deer? No, but you can always let me know that you saved me 20 cents in my property tax next year. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for the comments. Thank all of you for your comments. That's how we learn.
If I can just follow up. Jane, I don't know if you were at the meeting when we talked about this, but Whitehall Borough statistically has the worst deer population of any municipality in the South Hills that is covered by our animal control. And that's based on square miles. So the number of deer that are taken out of Whitehall per square mile far and away exceeds any other municipality in the South. And so that's why we need to have a program responding to people's needs.
I'll make a comment on that too. There's a picture that some of you have seen out here at the Public Works Station looking out at 51. There happens to be like 7, 8,
Yes.
14-point deers. They're huge. I've shown that to hunters up at my cabin in Edmonton. They can't believe that and how unusual that is to have that many large-sized deers. And these are large-sized deers. Normally up north in hunting area, you might get an 8-point, maybe a 10 if you're lucky. These things were 12, 14. You can tell how big it is because of that. And having that many together, you know that you have a deer problem when you have that many together.
This problem's not going away. We know that it's getting worse.
Right.
Yes.
And today in the news, the city parks are having problems.
Yeah.
The city parks are implementing this
They
program.
started a program on Saturday.
So obviously, very proactive.
So now we get to the really interesting part of the meeting,
Spending
the bill list. So, but please stay. We enjoy your comments, although I try to stay to the agenda and I don't take comments during the rest of the meeting. We'll move on then to the bills and the payroll. Okay, we'll move on to the bills and the payroll.
Administrative Services, Mr. Nagy.
in order.
Planning and Zoning, Mr. Reed.
In order.
Public Safety, Mr. McCallum.
That's in order.
Public Works, Mr. Lar.
Yeah, that's in order as well.
Recreation, Ms. Book.
In order.
Storm Sewer Fund, Mr. Lar.
That so is in order.
Sanitary Sewer Fund, Mr. Lar.
That as well.
2022 Construction Fund, Mr. Nagy.
In order.
And Capital Projects Fund, Mr. Nagy. Would ask for a motion to approve billing with bill list dated October 4th, 2023, from the general fund totaling $1,309,049.19. From the storm sewer fund totaling $27,810.47. From the sanitary sewer fund totaling $150,885.01. From the 2022 construction fund totaling $3,681.00, and from the capital projects fund totaling $912.00.
Second, it's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Ask for a motion to approve checks and transfers to be ratified from the general fund totaling $46,351.69. From the sanitary sewer fund totaling $401.22. And from the payroll fund totaling $67,819.13. For a grand total ratification, $114,170.82.
Any questions about that? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion passes.
Ask for a motion to approve payroll for a pay date of September 22nd, 2023 in the amount of $166,867.15.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes.
There is an overtime list attached.
Thank you. Approval of the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from us, 2023.
Second. Been moved and seconded. Any questions about the minutes? We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Opposed?
Opposed.
Okay. The majority approved the minutes, so. We will move on then to the mayor's report.
Madam President, first item I have is the monthly report for September 2023. EMS assists 159, court hearings, pretrial 51, accidents 20, criminal arrests 21, traffic stops 109, traffic details 83, traffic violation citations 102, and traffic violation warnings 91. Monies collected and turned over to the borough during September 2023 total $2,956.93. Looking at those statistics that I just gave you, they're very comparable to last year at this time, with the exception of traffic details. We have almost 2 or 3 times the number of traffic details in this year than last year. So I'm not sure what was going on at that time, but that's the only difference. Moving along, Sergeant Bowman and Officer Stevenson attended a 40-hour instructor development program at the Allegheny County Police Academy the week of September 11th. And this course will ensure our in-house training programs achieve the best practices. The Pennsylvania American Water began a water line replacement project on last Monday. So crews will be working from 7 p.m. to 5 a.m. Monday through Thursday. And they started in front of Cassidy Village and will finish near Hampton. So they're working at night because of all the traffic during the day. Courtney, did you get this out and send a letter? I got a copy of it up and sent it, you know.
Not look familiar, but can I have this?
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely, it shares. The chief would like to remind residents to contact 412-884-1100 to report a lost pet, stray, injured, or deceased animal in the community. Depending on the nature of the animal complaint, our police communication specialists will dispatch South Hills Animal Control or a Whitehall police officer to investigate this issue. So the reason why the chief is bringing this up, apparently a resident had a raccoon in front of his house. He called in to the borough that the raccoon was present, and the protocol is that we don't call animal control out for every single incident involving wildlife. We have, because we get charged based on the number of calls we make. So if the road crew is capable of picking up the wildlife, the road crew does it. In this case, a raccoon was something that the road crew could do. So at the time that the call came in, there were a number of employees off, and there were also, and those employees that were working to set out Fall Fest. So what happened was another resident came along, not from the neighborhood, and knocked on the door and said, asked about the raccoon, took a picture of it, put it on Facebook, and then contacted Nick Piscatano about it. And so we have to remind the public that, there are protocols here that need to be followed. And the protocol is to call the police, and they will make a determination as to how the animal gets picked up, whether it's by the Borough Road Crew or by South Hills Animal Control. All right, lastly, I have, although I may have something to say at the end of the meeting. Lastly, I don't know if anybody read this in the Post-Gazette and knew the significance of it, but the title of this article on Sunday was McGinley named editor of PG's editorial page. The Pittsburgh Post-Gazette has announced that Brandon McGinley has been appointed to the editorial page, has been appointed editorial page editor. Mr. McGinley, a 2010 graduate of Princeton University, joined the editorial board in October 2021 after several years as a professional editor and freelance writer. In his tenure at the newspaper, he's won several state and national awards, including first place in editorial writing in the Pennsylvania News Media Association annual contest and first place in the Pittsburgh Black Media Federation annual contest. He also won first place nationally in commentary from the Society for Features Journalism. Mr. McGinley is a South Hills native. Now, what they should have said there was he is a Whitehall. He used to be a Whitehall native. They missed their opportunity to really provide a good article. But Brandon grew up in Whitehall. He grew up 2 doors away from where I live. My children played with him. And, to be named the PG's editorial page editor is really very significant. So Brandon quoted, "Will show that fearless local journalism is indispensable to the common good. Further, the opinion section is committed to publishing a wide diversity of voices that elevate public discourse on the issues that matter most to our readers. He has done us proud, Whitehall residents." Thank you. That's all I have.
Anybody got questions on that? Okay, we'll then move on to our solicitor, Mr. Turner.
Thank you. I do not have a report this evening, but I would ask for the executive session after the meeting to discuss items of ongoing litigation.
We adjourn the meeting. We can we'll move on to our engineer, Mr. Ricardo. Would you have the answer to Eric's question by the next meeting?
I don't know how it's programmed, but we'll follow through.
That's what you would.
I can understand that, and the lights, they are bright up there.
Okay, we'll have an answer. Okay.
Thank you, Madam President. Couple items to review with you this evening. It's all in our reports dated September 29th. Under item 2, the operation and maintenance plan. Under the 2022 closed circuit televising inspection contract, Roto-Rooter has completed that work. They did submit a pay application number 6 and final for review and approval. It's in order. The recommended motion is to approve pay application 6 and final in the amount of $11,926.47 for the Whitehall Borough 2022 CCTV inspection project to Roto-Rooter Service Company.
So moved. Second, it's been moved and seconded. Any questions about the motion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Under the 2022 sanitary sewer excavation repair contract, Roto-Rooter did submit a pay application number 10. It is in order. The recommended motion is to approve pay application 10 in the amount of $21,000.70 for the Whitehall Borough 2022 sanitary sewer excavation contract to Roto-Rooter Service Company.
So moved.
Second.
Well, I have a question. Where is this at? The deed excavation?
I don't have that. So I would have to provide that, provide that to you.
Okay. So you don't know where the.
There's
voting
this
on
lady is,
paying for this?
I'm sorry.
I was just wondering where the excavation took place.
And I don't have that exact, they're all over the map. We can certainly, I don't have the details not called out.
So it wasn't one job in particular, it
I
was
don't
like a
think so.
collection of
I
jobs.
think it's a couple of jobs, yes.
Okay, well, then, if we're not sure, is there, can we table this until we know where it's from? Then,
Sure.
yeah, we table, yeah.
Sure.
Not-
Motion's been made and it's been seconded, so votes called.
Yes, thank you. I'm Dreaming, I guess.
Okay.
All in favor of paying this, pay application 10? I'll say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the motion passes.
We have to follow up. I say aye too, as long as we just follow up. I want to know where the.
We'll just detail in our report for the next one, for sure. We can follow up with this, sure.
Thanks for following up with that. Thank you.
Under item 4, Overlook Park, just to make council aware that all the contract documents have been submitted to the contractors for execution, and they are being returned. They have until Friday, the 6th, to have all their documents in place. So pre-construction meeting will be scheduled once we're in receipt of all of the contract documents and bonds. Under item 7, the pollution reduction plan, just let council know that Seacroft Incorporated has completed nearly all of the improvements that the streets run, stream improvement, right near the tennis courts. The pedestrian bridge piers were poured this week, and construction of that pedestrian bridge for the walking trail should be completed next week. And then on Felix Drive, we'll let council know, we met with one of the residents this evening to review the need for additional easement for the storm sewer extension. We still have to meet with the resident at 113 Felix. Wasn't able to get back there this evening, but that project is underway and is currently out for bids. And that's all I have for the questions.
In light of,
Sorry.
it said in light of winter.
I don't know if I can do that for this, but go ahead.
You can answer it. I was thinking, driving by the pool, would it be wise to take down the canopy of the kiddie pool so that snow doesn't do it for us?
Evil minds think alike. I looked at that this evening when I did a drive-by, and again, I will check it on that if it's suggested by the manufacturer to do so. It's certainly good thing.
They also say great minds running the same channel.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Engineering? And then we'll go on to our management reports. Any questions? I'll move on to our committee, our library. I've got to report the committee. Thank you. It's running smoothly then. Public Works, Mr. Lott.
I have nothing. Not than what we have to.
I just have a brief report myself. Mr. Harris and Mr. Porter attended our annual Public Works MS4 training today, hosted by ALO, so they take care of that today.
Thank you. That's all.
Mr. Public Safety.
The chief wants us to announce that the Allegheny County District Attorney's Office has provided municipal police departments glow in the dark wristbands for trick or treaters. The wristbands will be available to residents by the week and end of the week. Please stop in and see an on-duty communication specialist to receive a wristband. That's it.
Okay, would you said that kind of quickly, would you repeat it so that people can hear legal process, what's going on, I can process.
The district attorney has gotten glow in the dark wristbands for trick or treaters. So the wristbands will be available at the police department by the end of this week. Just stop by and see one of the dispatchers.
Now, by the way, it's not first come, first served.
Okay, thank you.
That's it.
Recreation. Thank you, Madam President. Introduce Anna to give the detailed report you got.
Hello, as we heard about tonight, was our Snyder Park meeting. We had over 100 responses with a lot of detailed comments that we're reviewing. Data will be submitted to council at the next council meeting for your review.
From there, we had pre-K karate that same night. It did sell out. We're holding another class on Thursday, October 19th at 5:30, and that takes place at Premier Martial Arts. Nick Piscatano attended our first bingo back. He sponsored the lunch and also gave out homemade ice cream that everyone loved. He also spoke about 2 upcoming events that he has. A shredding event on October 14th from 10 to 12 at the West Midland Fire Hall, as well as a senior drive-through trunk or treat on October 28th from 10 to 12 at the Baldwin High School. If anybody would like to participate in either of those. We had our Fall Fest this past weekend. We gave away over 230 pumpkins to the children in our area. We have received an overwhelming amount of positive feedback, and with that knowledge, Fall Fest will become an annual event. Residents enjoyed the concert, food trucks, face painting, vendors, crafts, and more. The fall items that you saw outside will be utilized. They were utilized as a prop for pictures. They will now be utilized as decorations at the administration sign as well as the police sign. And because it's so beautiful, Public Works has been cutting grass and doing other things, so they will get to that arrangement by the end of the month. We'll also be partnering with the library on a monthly play and learn for toddlers. Our first one is coming up on October 13th at 10:30 and will be golf themed. So if anyone has any little ones that want to come to that. And lastly, to go over, Ms. McCowan, the trick or treat for Whitehall Borough is always on October 31st from 6 to 8. So just a reminder for that since we're in the October season. Any questions or anything like
That's great. I love it. 230 little pumpkins.
that? Mm-hmm.
Great
I
job.
want to know how did the setting for the taking of pictures
Yes.
get on the front cover of
Wasn't
the
it?
Borough? I mean, it's like, the event occurred on Saturday, and Alyssa sent out the draft of the report. So,
But it did end up also, Megan Schiller also put a little tidbit out of her family at the event in that photo op on her KDKA page and said how amazing the event was and to look forward to next year. So
That's
Wonderful.
One of your coworkers, Norman Brown.
Yeah.
He met to my house the other day, because he only lives 4 times his son. He was so excited about that pumpkin thing. He said, I have come up to tell you how great that was. He said, I was so excited. And I think he gets excited about anything. But,
Norman's on my recreation board and he was very excited to take photos of everybody at the.
Yeah, he's an artist too, so,
He is.
so he's got to be okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks for all the super stuff you're doing for the kids. You're just amazing.
So I- Thank you. Administrative secretary.
Nothing for me.
Planning and zoning, Mr. B.
Sorry to disappoint you, but I don't have anything.
Wow. And I don't have anything new that hasn't been said already about the clerk. Delegate reports. Boroughs Association, the State Boroughs Association, and the League of Municipalities. Thank you, Madam President. Well, the Allegheny League of Municipalities, they're gonna have a conference out this month, so I know a lot of us will be attending. It's always informative with updates and on what we can do to better our borough, conferences about roads and grants. And so we'll be reporting on that. And if you want to give an update on our PSAB, some of our interesting conferences we just attended. Well, Linda and I are both on the Municipal Retirement Trust run by the State Boroughs Association. And as such, they give us an educational opportunity. And it was very interesting to hear nationally known speakers speaking about the economy. And I find that to sit and tell you about it right now, my mind doesn't work fast enough. But when someone starts to talk about real estate, I'll remember what this speaker was talking about. She was kind of implying that the next 3 months, we can't count on anything. After that, we may start to see some changes. Now, that's what the speaker was saying, not what I'm saying. we had a very interesting time. The session started at 7:30 in the morning and ended at 4:30 in the afternoon. And if you figured it out, you took your last session class close to the bus so that you could get back to your hotel by 5:30. It was most interesting session, but we enjoyed it and we did learn a lot. And now, we covered a lot on parks, the chamber.
The chamber had its annual golf outing on September the 18th. We're trying to get the numbers finalized. The crowd wasn't as large as it had been in the past, but we still had a full field. Had more people there for dinner, so it was a success. So when we go back, once we have the financials figured out. And also the chamber lunches tomorrow. And I wanted MRTSA sent over contribution for next year, and this is both capital fund and general fund, and it totals just under $265,000. 264,597.65. That'll be our contribution here. So
That's not enough.
We'll move on to our last organization. And the last organization did a survey of communities in the area, in the South Hills area. And Whitehall turns out to be the only one who actually gives reports on all the different organizations your council members belong to. And Bill belongs, he's our representative of Chayco.
He said something really nice about me. Thank you. Anyway, Shaycog, just that real quick. Of the 22 municipalities that make up Shaycog, 14 of them chose waste management for their garbage / recycling. 6 went with Westmoreland, and West Mifflin has their own service, and they are using an electric vehicle, which is going to be interesting to watch. And I don't know where the last municipality went, but as you know, we went with waste management. And just a reminder that October 19th is the annual Shaycog meeting dinner at Nevillewood. So hope we all have.
Okay, thank you. Any new business to come before us?
I just want to welcome Bob back. A major operation on his back. Take care, Mr. Brother. Yeah.
All right. I just want to make some comments. This is 1 month, this Saturday is 1 month before the general election. And this is the most important election in 75 years. On January 1, 2024, the majority of council, there will be 4 individuals, 3 of whom will have no government experience, and 1 of whom that has only 2 years of government experience. And that's the majority of council. As I've said before, this is no way to transition from the experience of a CPA with Bob, Glenn, and all the things that he does, and Phil, all the things that he does. This is no way to transition. I pointed out after the primary election, the anonymous letter that was sent out that was false about the council being surcharged, and also the false statements, the polls that Whitehall Borough was $10 million in debt, when in fact they were acting as responsible elected officials, that the rate of borrowing is 2%, is to pay for the pool and to pay for the fire company. And I don't know what you'd rather give up. And $3 million was used for the Doverdale sewers. So I said that I would try to find out who wrote the anonymous letter. And I was prepared to give my results tonight, but I saw the president of council and she said, I really wish you wouldn't. And so I will defer to the president of council and not say anything unless council members want to know.
We all sort of know.
I'd like to know.
We know who it is.
We'd like to know.
All right, so.
I hear a motion to adjourn.
All right, okay.
Please get a hear.
All right, so here's the envelope that went out. All right, this is the anonymous envelope. And what's interesting about it is the statement is how the street is configured. So it says, I'm not going to say what the address is, but Longview ABEW. Now, all of us know that if we were writing, this, we would write West Longview, because that's the name of the street, right? West Longview, East Longview, West, right, East Longview. Okay, so the fact that it says Longview ABEW means that it came from the county database. So this is a page from the street list. And when you look at the top, it says Longview Ave W, exactly the same as this. So whoever put this anonymous letter out was using this database. So I contacted the county to find out, if there was any way to find out whether anybody took out labels. So here's what I learned. There was a time in the past when you could go to Allegheny County and you could get labels, okay? And, but they don't do that anymore. So all they do is they give you a disc. And the disc is not just Whitehall Borough, it's everybody in the county, okay? So the question becomes, who took out a disc between the dates of January 1 of 2023 and the time of the primary election? And there were two people who took them out. Now, when I tell you this, I'm going to tell you what I learned. I'm not going to point any fingers, okay? So if you're thinking at the end, I'm going to say who it is, I'm not going to say, I don't know who it is, okay? But I want to share with you the evidence, because you're the voters. People that are online are going to be voting, and they need to know this. All right, so there were two people that took out the disc, Marty Schmutzer and Chris Mooney. Okay. So I asked Marty, okay, I said, Marty, do you know who sent this letter out? He claims that he never obtained a disc and that he doesn't use discs. He's not tech savvy. He said that he does have street lists, and I know he gave street lists to two of the candidates who were running in the election, both of whom are here. And he did sponsor the candidates night, and he did endorse Glenn Nagy at the time of the primary. So if Marty Schmutzer was trying to take out all three council people, he was acting inconsistent in that he sponsored this candidates night, which everyone attended, and he endorsed Glenn Nagy. He said on his mother's grave, he didn't send it out. He doesn't know who sent it out. So the only thing is, there's just a discrepancy between why does the county, say that he obtained this, and he claims not to, but he sounded sincere. All right, and there's someone who continues to post anonymously on the Whitehall Facebook page, attacking council people and attacking the mayor, and continues to hide. And so I don't know, there may be some, but anyway. So I asked Chris Mooney, and again, I'm not going to point any kind of figures. Chris said he gave the disc to every candidate and to one member of council. So that's all I'm going to tell you. That's, we have some idea of how that happened. It would have had to happen using the county database. And so you can make your own judgments by going through and thinking, candidates, would this person have done it? Would that person have done it? And you can make up your own mind. But the important thing is that elections should not be decided in Whitehall Borough by false communications. We need to get the truth out. We need to debate issues, talk about, should we have a deer, I'm looking at Debbie, should we have a deer management program? Shouldn't we have a deer management program? Or that's how government works. And it should not be by false statements to knock out a guy with a CPA. He only lost by 45 votes. He is the most valuable person on council, and we're not going to have him next year. But remember this, come January 1, there'll be majority. 3 with no government experience, 1 with 2 years. And that's the majority of them.
Did Chris Mooney also tell you that the Republican committee reached out to Allegheny County in an effort to assist you guys with that, with finding out who did the?
He did. I got that.
Did you ask Martin Schmutzer if any of the Democrats did? And also, is there any other way that somebody could have availability of the street list? I don't like this political game that you're playing with the Democrats or Republicans, Marty.
Well, I
The
do.
Republicans. I
I'm
don't
not,
think
I'm
it's
not
fair.
playing any, okay, go ahead. I'm sorry, Stone. I didn't mean to. Go
I
ahead.
don't think that that's fair. I mean,
All right. Well, all I
and
did,
is it possible somebody could obtain a disc from another municipality also? I don't think. Can somebody be friends with somebody from, I mean, I don't, if Baldwin doesn't have, maybe they have a Democrat committee, I don't know, but is it possible?
okay,
Somebody could have
so,
had a connection somewhere
okay,
else?
okay, that's a fair question. First of all, it's not political in a sense. I mentioned both sides, right? And I didn't point the finger at anyone. So so it's not political, but in fairness to your question, I understand, and it is true. I'm going to echo what Stone said.
And I actually
Chris
talked to Stan
Mooney-
DeMarco on, when was it, Sunday, and we actually talked in detail about trying to figure that out also.
All right, well, so Chris Mooney did, go to the Republican committee to try to find out, what could be done. And so in fairness, I will also tell you in fairness that you can, from the state of Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, purchase for $20, but from the county, it's free. And so, why would you go to the state? And who knows? I never knew the state. I mean, you would have to be sophisticated to be able to do that. Then you got to think, what's the motive? Like, why would somebody from Baldwin want to take out, well, I'm feeling Glenn? Why would they want to do that? And so, whatever. I thank you
Yeah,
for.
but I don't want my.
No, I know.
You want me to tell you why?
I know. I tried to be so. I'm trying to be very fair about this. I'm glad you raised the comments you did. It is important to point these things out. But, we as a people just have to get control of this situation so that it does not repeat itself in future elections. Right? And that's why I feel the need to say this, to impress upon you how important these elections are. No government is closer to you than your local government. All right. Street, snow removal, garbage, police protection, health. We've heard them all in this room, right? Nobody's as close to you as your local government, and we have to do something.
Well, I'm going to speak now. Because you brought it up. 8 years ago, we spent a lot of money, Bob, Glenn, and I. People donated. Why? Well, Glenn wrote something in there about Marty Schmutzer. I'm not talking against Marty Schmutzer. I like the guy. I always did. But when you want to get in here and when you're in politics, you hear this stuff. No, I did not want to run again. I put my name in to hope that we would have some. I've given my life, an honorable life, to Whitehall Borough to help everybody. And so is Glenn, so is Bob. I was surprised to hear that Glenn was being accepted by Marty. Marty, at that time, it was known information, and we wrote it and told it. Marty stole $50,000 from Allegheny County when he worked for him. Did he go to jail? No. So you got to remember who's facing these guys and ladies from the Democratic Party. He wanted to get back at us so badly he would have shot me because he blamed me for it all. Fine. I was proud to take it. But when you steal 50 million because you got friends in the government, 50,000. And all of a sudden, you become his friend. He wanted to be, he had 3 ladies. I knew one of them when I was in church. They were saying the bad things and the horrible things that you all said behind our backs on your little computers on the dark web. saying how much bad we were, what wrong we did. Did you hear what the mayor said? That I did, Bob did, Glenn did? If he wanted to be back by Marty, that's his business. But when you do this and you create, which is open information, and you created $120,000 job in the school district when he was president, just to get a salary and being the president. He walked around the school one day, he fired 14 people as president. You have no idea what's behind this man. And when you okay him, you're as bad as he is. And we said that in an open situation on our brochure we sent out. Because the word was, and we know the word, we know where they all come from. He wanted to be borough manager. And on top of that, he was trying to get 3 people and he had 1 in. Guy said right here. And it was young Barton. Now, when that all happens, we worked like hell and spent a lot of money. And my poor late wife couldn't believe what was happening. And she was a well-known person in the borough too. So when you see this happen again with all this hate, all this horrible stuff being put out, you put a lot out, a lot of them didn't. Why, if you're going to be a responsible person coming here, to run a borough and to create new good ideas, you have the greatest group you ever had in your entire life in Whitehall Park. It's running this borough. These ladies are beyond spectacular. And we went through some of them until we got the good one. You wrote, you can't beat that police department. There's no way in hell you're going to beat it. Because I worked hard to make it that way as well, and so did we all. The fire company, I gave my life to the fire company. I gave my lungs. My lungs are shot because I went into a burning building. No man. But I gave it because you had to save people and you had to protect people. That's my belief. I think it matter what I am. I am a Catholic. I was not a born Catholic. But we're responsible to make sure we help each other. That's what it is. Not cut our throats. Not stab us in the back like we all did. And keep coming up and bringing people in. Stone brought in a person. That was a person that said to me in the very early beginning, he said, "Are you a minister?" I said, "No, I'm not that kind of minister. I am a Eucharistic minister. I go to homes and serve people shut in the body and blood of Jesus Christ and say a prayer." He said, "Oh, I go out and I do things like I go to churches and I have prayer groups." What did he do when we came back? He said, "I want to know where Bob McCollum is." He right away, on the dark side, wanted him thrown off. And I knew where he's going. I've been around a long time and I've seen it. I had to fight like hell for a lot of things. So did each one of us, against the bad stuff coming in. I could go on here for hours. No.
On that note, I think.
Well, I'm not finished yet, Madam President. I'm going to finish up quickly. I just ask for those of you to know who you're dealing with, please. I always thought Mark was a nice guy, so I'm going to.
Ken's on the Republican committee with me. That doesn't mean that I send him to you.
You lost my that's potato.
Ken's on the Democrat committee. Does that mean?
You've already known what.
We don't need this. We've been in the meeting too long. Is there anybody else on the commission on your lawsuit, Mr.
No name, no name.
I made a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, there's a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
We do have an executive
We
session.
do have an executive.
I'd like to say something off the
We're
record.
not going to come back.
Okay, I'd like to thank the mayor for his due diligence in getting to the bottom of this horrible situation. Whoever perpetrated this was unethical, immoral, and deplorable.
And they're gonna
Pure
pick
fantasy.
one of those.
I was one of the people that met with the Republican Committee of Allegheny County on this issue. Thank you.
Which is a lot more than you are. You're not even a property taxpayer. You make a mistake that will cost all the taxpayers, but it's not gonna cost you. I love my family. Move it.
Yes, I got all that on. All right, have a good. All right.
Tell somebody who couldn't come to,
I appreciate that. Thank you.